High atop a craggy cliff, guarded by an army of fierce warriors, stands the fortress of the evil warlord Sedgwick. Deep in the darkest dungeons of his castle, Sedgwick gloats over his lovely captive, the Princess Getty. You are the king's knight, alone, with only your sword and shield. You must defeat Sedgwick and rescue the beautiful Getty. Put fear and self-concern behind you. Focus your will on your objective. Accept death as a possibility, and stay strong. This is the way of the knight. I concluded raging at my Overwatch competitive game and felt like I wanted something new. As I scrolled through my countless games on Steam, CAG caught my eye. Sort of like slag, but without the S and the L. I remembered purchasing it and thought I'd give it a go. Anyway, it was only a couple hundred megabytes and I was waiting for GTA 5 to re-download after I corrupted all the files trying to install some mods. So I gave it a shot. I started the same way I usually start any game, by jumping straight into the menus. The options and graphics appeared a little lacking at first, but what can I expect from a game such as this anyway, where by default, it's easy to run on even a potato computer. There are a few simple sliders for game sound and music, and a fully customizable controls menu to remap every key, which I felt was rather impressive actually. In addition to that, the game also contains the ability to customize the player's head with a variety of different, albeit pixelated, models. This gives the game a personal layer, which can become especially useful in the multiplayer modes, making it easier to differentiate which friend is which, when they're all fucking around doing jack shit. The game has 4 main modes. The tutorial, which is a tutorial. It teaches you the basics of the game in each different mode. It does this, however, in quite a fun and interesting way, and not dragging on forever like some other games I played in recent years. Save the Princess is sort of the game's single player campaign. This is where I spent the majority of my time. It follows the player as they advance through a series of short levels, where the only goal is to reach the far right side, giving the player the option to complete it any way they choose. It is quite short, however, and even I, the self-renowned sucker of video games, was able to complete it in only a meagre 15 minutes. It was a very enjoyable 15 minutes though. Sort of like a little wank, but lasting 15 times as long. Challenges give the player short, time challenges where the goal is to eliminate or reach a certain area in a certain time period. They are quite hard however, and give the player a real challenge at times. They seem quite fun to attempt now and again, but I didn't find I could retain interest and play for an extended period of time. Finally, Sandbox lets the player build whatever they want in a Minecraft creative style approach, but with limited resources. It felt rather weird. It felt rather weird, and I didn't manage to hold... It felt rather weird, and didn't manage to hold my attention for longer than 10 minutes, although I was able to test if it was possible to nerd poll, and, well, of course it is. I still find it amusing watching a small pixelated character ascending to the heavens, creating his own large pile of stone or wood as he goes. There is a height limit to the world though, as expected of course, and you can also die full damage. Yeah, that too. One of the first things to stand out to me about King Arthur's Gold was the art style. Maybe it's just my background in Minecraft, but I adore this design. Quite rustic with trees and blocks that are simplistic yet contain a large amount of detail within. The landscapes and large castles all blend in and look powerful against the sun rays shining through from behind. These are the types of games that make me wish I had a 4K monitor, as I would love to experience the great visual fidelity of this design at a much higher resolution. The 2D side-scrolling camera, similar to that of Terraria, also goes well with the art style, and really drew me into wanting to play more of this game. The music is also marvellous. Usually, I'll mute the game music and put on some of my own from Spotify in the background. And while I did do that occasionally, I often found myself turning up the music in-game instead of turning it down. It really did complement the style and design of the game greatly, creating quite a fun and immersive atmosphere. The sound effects, such as those found on the menu, were also quite subtle and blend in with the music as to not break the tone of the game. It's always entertaining hearing your character let out a small scream or moan as they fall from a height, or get hit in the face by an enemy arrow. I don't feel the Wilhelm scream fits in well as the death sound though, and I would have preferred it if they just went with another custom effect, as it seems a bit out of place. The only possible immersion breaker I could find was the fact that, as far as my knowledge, the game is capped at 30 FPS. I would have loved to push the game to a full 144 and experience the smoothness that would have came with it, but the game still played fine, and being a 2D scroller, the experience wasn't hindered too much by the low frame rate. Now let's talk about the combat. There are 3 different characters playable within the game. The archer fires arrows from a distance, can grapple and swing from high places but has low health. The knight uses a melee sword requiring you to be up close to attack, and can use bombs to blast his way through obstacles. The builder can mine and place down blocks, building bridges or defences against attack. He can also collect stone for use in catapults. I ended up gravitating towards the archer as my personal favourite, as I love scrambling up walls with the grappling hook or taking out enemies from afar before they could even touch me, but still switching to the other characters when necessary or beneficial. Each character is viable most of the time, however, so it really comes down to personal preference which one you like the most. This also builds on the creative side of the game, allowing the player the freedom to choose exactly how they are going to progress through the levels or take on the enemy. Some freedom that is welcome in today's linear campaigns and shooters. The physics in the game are unbelievably satisfying and fun. Killing people is pleasing, watching their blood explode all over the place as they scream at an ally for help. Buildings or towers will collapse when a support is destroyed, and the entire thing comes crashing down on top of you, sending debris flying through the air in all directions. Walls will explode when hit with catapults or bombs, opening routes for you to progress through. Even dying is entertaining. It all feels and looks amazing on screen, and I love it when games implement funny physics like this. The movement also feels exceptional. I love soaring over enemies' heads, duking them out and satisfyingly killing them with a blow to the head while still in midair, or bouncing off a trampoline and headshotting an enemy across the map whilst flying towards them. It's all enthralling. The only objective given to you is a simple one: kill everyone or reach a certain objective, and you can choose the way you're going to approach this task at hand. The features of this game are interesting and amusing. You can ride boars, swim through lakes, ride your boats across the seas, while all blending in with the seamless design. You can reach up to the skies or dig deep down into the depths. It's up to you. The level design is rather alluring. Once I remembered the archer's grapple actually existed, I had a whale of a time scaling the castles and towers that lay before me, dodging the enemies left and right. The old castles or houses filled with rooms and enemies, even though they tend to be quite simple, bring the world you are exploring to life and create the sense that someone has lived in these lands before you arrived. Your goals are to capture the enemy's halls, which allow you to respawn if you die or change character if you wish. The placement of these means you never have to walk back too far if you do end up on the wrong end of a shark, as well as allowing you to strategically play your assaults around which heroes you pick and when. Another thing I noticed while playing was that I wasn't raging as much as I usually do. Well, except for the final mission, in which evil wizard Sedgwick, what a weird name, appears and can kill you in one hit. One hit? Like, okay, it just like the difficulty just like scaled up, and it was like, you know what, we're just gonna put in a one-hit kill wizard. Fuck you, ha ha ha, you die. But I mean, wizards are pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. Maybe it was the combination of the art design and music, or the gameplay not being overly challenging, at least in Save the Princess mode, that made the gameplay rather relaxing. This was a welcome change from the usual keyboard smashing, hair pulling moments that happen in Overwatch or CSGO competitive. There is pretty much no story, or none that I'm aware of. The main Save the Princess mode is the only thing remotely close, and, like I said before, it's very short and only offers a very vague outline of what could be going on in this universe. This is the most disappointing thing for me. The gameplay, design, music and physics all feel perfect, but there is very little content or story to go along with it. Although the ending does suggest future content will exist, seeing as it ends on an ellipsis. And we all know, if something ends in an ellipsis, then there has to be a continuation. It's the rules. The challenges, while fun, aren't really beefy in terms of gameplay and can get boring very quickly. Sandbox doesn't do much either. The multiplayer, while offering a server browser, has some major flaws. First of all, there's pretty much no one playing, with Steam charts only counting an average of around 60 to 70 players each hour. This means that only a few servers are populated, and it could be impossible to play the mode that you want to play. I could account this to the lack of content, and how people get bored very quickly, so leave the game, basically rendering it dead. The game also has some horrible mods and add-ons, which I could see adding to the game's replayability, but some were taking so long to download that I simply gave up and went back to the single player. I also don't want a clogged up hard drive with a bunch of game assets from the servers that I only visited once, before leaving. I have similar issues with Gmod. All this pretty much turned me off multiplayer though. I could see it being really fun, however, if I could get a large group of friends and play a sort of internal tournament between us, but I have no friends, so that's not going to happen. Overall, in conclusion, yep, fucking do. King Arthur's Gold offers a great, short experience. I love the single player princess saving campaign and will probably boot up the game from time to time between Overwatch Competitive or my dedicated playthrough to finish Shadow of Mordor, but I feel the game is a little overpriced. For such a short campaign, few missions and lacking creative, it does not warrant even the $10 or £7 that this game is selling for currently. The multiplayer could be fun with a large team or group, but in terms of going in solo, it felt very lackluster and not interesting at all. If you already own KAG, or see it in a Humble Bundle or on sale, then it might be worth considering. I feel it's definitely worth a play here and there, but admitting what you can get for $10 on PC nowadays. With Origin Access, Humble Bundle, third-party key stores and constant discounts and sales on Steam so often that Gaben has drained whatever life our wallets have left back into his ever-growing bank account while he sits in his mansion with 12 toilets and plates made of solid gold laughing at our stupidity that he would ever expect us to release Half-Life 3. It's not really worth it to purchase KAG at this time. And so this adventure ends. The evil Sedgwick lies vanquished, the beautiful Getty safe in your arms. For the first time in memory, the country basks in sunlight of peace. But beware for the King's Warrior. There is always a next time. Ellipsis!